Oftentimes when we go into a new customer, a new organization, it's challenging. We find a lot of kind of issues or things that are missing or things that are not set up correctly. And so in this video, I'm just going to talk about a few of the things that might be useful for you to look at or question within your organization and make sure that your IT company, IT guy is doing what they're supposed to. Really the first thing, and I'm astonished that we still find it today, is really a lackluster password policy, right? A domain administrator account should be severely locked down, used only when necessary, held and used by a select few people, and have a password that's about this long and made up of completely random characters. And we often find, subtle little acronyms or the 1, 2, 3, 4s or things like that. And even more so, we might find that users in the organization are added to the domain administrators group. It's one thing to be a local administrator and have the ability to maybe install software or change settings, but it's a whole nother thing to be listed in the domain administrator's account as an everyday user. That's kind of a dangerous practice. Best to only use the keys when necessary. The other thing that we commonly find is just some simple, really some best practices around servers and the way they should be configured and the way they should be set up, and things that shouldn't be shared and things that shouldn't be on the same box. We quite often find sometimes a hodgepodge really of domain controller being on the hypervisor and this, that, and the other thing. So some server best practices, a little bit harder to monitor and manage, from an end user perspective, but nonetheless important. And quite often lackluster backups. And this is really one area where I always tell people in general, trust your IT department, trust your IT guy, but verify. Backups are probably the most critical thing in an organization to make sure that they're going well, that they're verified, that they're going to work if and when you need them. And it's something that I see a lot of organizations just say, yeah, our IT guy says they're good. And they take it kind of at face value. And oftentimes when we go in, maybe they're only set up to be run once a day, which I just don't think is the best way to do it. It really should be set up every hour so that we could go back in time or not lose an entire day's or a few days worth of work. And they're not necessarily verified. They're just set and, should be if and when we need them, we'll go back and look. But most shops or most guys are not verifying them on a daily basis. Some softwares will allow you to, show or share a screenshot of that verified backup every day. I know ours does. So again, I just think when it comes to backups, trust but verify. And in this cybersecurity landscape, probably the last area that we see lacking when we onboard a new customer really is just lacking a lot of the cybersecurity layers, right? It's more than just firewalls and antivirus software. It's things like two-factor authentication. It's things like cybersecurity education and awareness to prevent users from doing anything in the organization, not necessarily malicious, just inadvertently. And some of the other, new and necessary layers from a cybersecurity protections perspective. And oftentimes when I'm talking to prospects, new customers, they'll often reference antivirus and firewall. Those are not cybersecurity protections. Those are base layer stuff. And sometimes we find that the other layers have not even been talked about or are missing. So those are quite a few of the things that we often see when we onboard a new customer, and I think it's useful for every organization to kind of make sure that they have these boxes checked.